Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic related to Angular API series, where we will be mainly discussing about the HTTP params. Okay, so HTTP params is something that will help you to solve one problem that comes with multiple query parameters. Okay, so today I'll show you how to use HTTP params, what is the advantage of using HTTP params, and how we can, what are the steps that we are supposed to follow to call the HTTP API with HTTP params. Okay, but before we proceed further with this session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released session first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on how to use HTTP params. But prior to that, you should know how to pass single param, multiple param, right? So if you know these things, then you know the problem and then you can use the solution. But if you don't aware of these concepts, then things would be much more, the things won't be much easier for you, right? So that's why I suggest you to firstly walk through all the sessions that we have already covered, and for that you can refer the Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. There you will find thousands of sessions available in both Hindi as well as English language. So without any language barrier, you can consume the content, and in case if you have any queries or questions there, you can simply reach out to me through comment section. I would be more than happy to answer all your questions. Okay. Alright, so let's see. Firstly, I'll walk you through the output as well as the API that we are using here, and then I'll show you the exact code that I'm referring for completing this demo. So here we can see we have one main heading that shows Angular course by Sharmit, and second heading is using HTTP params for query building. Then we have one horizontal row, one user list, and two values that are getting from the API. Okay, so this is just a normal flow, but how actually we are using this HTTP params? And before we learn about HTTP params, let's try to understand the problem. Like, what is the problem that comes with normal parameter passing? So here you can see I have applied multiple parameters to get this output. Okay, and in last session we talked about multiple parameter, right? So I use multiple parameter like ID as one, name as Lenny Graham, right? But now my question is, let's say if I want to apply more parameters here, like username, email, or let's say on our data we have multiple fields like age and blood group or something like that, right? So in that situation, if you try to put everything in a same URL, if you try to put everything in with the same URL, it is not the right approach. Why? Because your URL will be very heavy, right? You are attaching everything there. So to make this the solution of this problem, we can utilize the HTTP params, because this HTTP param will allow us to put all the parameters in one place as a constant, and then that constant can be used with the URL so that things would be properly readable. Okay, so I hope you understand what is the problem and what is the solution. Now let's see how we can implement that solution. Okay, because implementing is also very important. So what I'll do now, I'll just quickly show you the entire source code. So firstly, I'll show you the app.config.file, app.config.ts file, where we have imported provide HTTP client, and this provide HTTP client will allow us to call any API. Okay, because without this provide HTTP client, you won't be able to utilize your API in API in your application. Okay. So this piece of code is very important. Make sure you add it in your application. Once it is added, now you are enabled to use any of your API call. So for this demo, like I have already created one component, and the main component is app component. So in case if you don't know how to create the component, you can simply run the command ng for Angular g generate c component, and component name is comp1. So when you press enter on this comp1, it will automatically create this comp1 component with 4 files including CSS, HTML, spec.ts and component.ts. Now once it is created, you can simply just look at this selector name. Okay, don't look at the below code, I'll explain it later. Just focus on this app component, because when you create it from scratch it will be empty. Okay, this thing I have added later, but this selector would be there. Okay, and this selector will be helpful for us to connect with the app component. So here in app.component.ts, I firstly imported my comp1 component, imported the same comp1 component, and then we are utilizing the same inside app.component.html. So here you can see I have put one heading, Angular course by Tech Sharmit, second heading using HttpParams for query building, then one horizontal row, and then we have app comp1, which is nothing but a component selector name. So by adding this line, what it is basically doing, it is connecting the application with app.component. Okay, so it is added. Now once everything is connected, it's time to write the logic. So let's see the logic, how we have changed it. The first step is same like we defined. Here you can see I have imported multiple things. Okay, and make sure you also import these things like on init, common module, HttpClient, HttpParams. Although when you are using the editor, it will automatically import it, but make sure it should be there. Okay, then we have defined this users, and users store the response. It will help us to store the response. Then we created one constructor, private HTTP client. So whenever you want to access this HTTP client, you will use this term HTTP. Okay, then we have created one const, that is params. So this is a new concept. Okay, so instead of directly passing the query parameters here, we have created one const params, new HTTP params. So whenever you write this thing, it will automatically import this HTTP params. Okay, so HTTP params dot set. So here I will pass my first parameter, that is ID 1, then dot set second parameter, username Brett. That's it. So now things are very much easier, because now we have only one constant that we can pass with our URL. So this dot http dot get any, this is my URL, and here I just attach after a comma my curly braces, and inside this we have params. So dot subscribed res, this dot user is res. So whatever response we have inside res will be stored in users, that we are displaying it later. So here you can see, firstly I'm checking the user length. If it is greater than 0, that means it holds some data. So we are holding that data, so we are iterating it one by one using for loop. User of users, track user ID, then user name, user email, and then we are just displaying it. Else if it is not greater than 0, that means something is wrong, data is not found. So in that case we will show the message user not found. Okay, so I'll quickly show you the output again so that you can relate it. So ng serve not server -- open, and I'm assuming that you already know about ng on init, because this is something that we have already covered. So I'm assuming that you all know that, and that's why we are not discussing it for now. Just keep in mind that it is something related to the method that automatically executed whenever the application is loaded. Okay, so now you can see we are getting the data, that is Lenny Graham. In case if I put something other than Brett, because Brett is a username, so it will throw the error. Not actually the error, but it will show that user not found. Save it and refresh it. So you can see no user found. That means our application is working fine. Okay, likewise if you want to add more parameters, you can add here one by one, and it will help you to pass the things properly, right? We are not stuffing everything with the URL. Instead of that, we have created params, and then we are attaching that params here. Okay, so yeah, this was the problem, like stuffing everything within a URL was the problem, but we have found the solution with the help of HttpParams. So now whenever you want to implement the API call, make sure you are using HttpParams, because this is the right approach to execute the API query with multiple params. Okay, so I hope today's session is clear to all of you. In the next session we will discuss few more things. Meanwhile, you can do the practice, and in case if you want to ask any question, feel free to ask me through comment section. I would be more than happy to answer all your queries. So yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.